Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3TR. Welcome to another episode of The People's Questions, where I answer all the questions that you guys have sent me over the past week. We got a significantly smaller episode of questions, and I believe maybe one newbie, but that's not for the lack of trying, because there were two individuals that actually posted pretty interesting questions that got turned into extensive conversations that happened in the comment section, so I didn't feel I needed to answer them in this video, but I do like seeing that kind of stuff in the comment sections from time to time. We got, I'd say, 6 questions. I think they're pretty standard. So starting with simple, the first question coming from the Paper Knight, you want to know, what is my favorite type of exotic lightsaber and why? I think you're asking for which lightsaber is my favorite. I guess my favorite exotic lightsaber would probably be the Redeemer, and that belongs to Obi-Wan Kenobi. And during the Clone Wars, and I think the reason why that one's my favorite is because he's my favorite character, and I like its overall design. And you can kind of see that Luke modeled his version, surprisingly not off of his father's old lightsaber, but off of Obi-Wan's lightsaber. But there's a whole history behind that I'm aware of. But yeah, I would say just off the top of my head, that's my favorite exotic lightsaber, and that's why. The next question comes from Silver Leonhardt 2099. You want to know, if I were dropped into Final Fantasy and I had to learn how to fight from foreign people, who would they be? Oh, that's an easy one. It would be Auron, Terra, Yuffie, and Tidus. I would go to Auron because he's the greatest guardian of all time, so there's a lot I could learn from him. I would go to Terra because she's the most powerful magical protagonist. I would learn from Yuffie to work on my stealth, and I would go to Tidus to work on my speed. And so Tidus and Yuffie kind of have elements that kind of mix, but I think Tidus is a little bit more direct with Yuffie's, teachings in Nijutsu. I might be able to perform a lot of stealth techniques, and that would really help with my speed in order to get in and out of a situation quickly. So those are the 4 characters I would pick. Next question comes from Cassius Buxley, and you want to know, what are my top 5 favorite Kingdom Hearts worlds? Well, number 1 is Hollow Bastion. Number 2 is the Tron world. Number 3 is the Thousand Acre Woods. The 4th one is Destiny Island, and the 5th one is the Mulan world from Kingdom Hearts 2. The next question comes from Santiago Scarpino. You want to know, is there any movie that I really loved but felt the ending was somewhat underwhelming? Which would that be and why? As a matter of fact, there is one that automatically comes to the top of my head, and that is Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. Now, I'm on record saying that Christopher Nolan has actually been my favorite director since The Prestige. Not way before The Dark Knight, so let's not get that confused. And to this day, I do not believe he's ever made a bad film. But I will say that I thought the last 15 minutes of Interstellar really kind of it kind of bothered me. Going a little bit of spoilers about what the movie is. Basically, what happens is Matthew McConaughey's character, they're in this situation, and sorry, the sun's coming down, so I might get a little bit darker. They're in this situation where they figure out this solution as for how they created this wormhole, and they're like, okay, we need to send this information back to Earth so that they can use this wormhole to save Earth. And it's like, okay, we're gonna have to go for the dark hole. Now I assume that, okay, when they go for this black hole, they're gonna die, but they're gonna get the signal back to Earth and save everybody. And I figured that's where the movie should have been. It's like, okay, he's gonna die, but everyone on Earth is gonna be saved. But no, they add this 4th dimension stuff that was just like, where is this coming from? I'm telling you, half the movie ended with them going to the dark in the black hole, dying, but successfully getting that solution back to Earth. I think that would have been the perfect way to end it. But the fact that they had that extra 15 minutes kind of threw me off, because I was like, this honestly feels like it's coming out of nowhere. And the only explanation that I think that they added to try to justify what they did, I just didn't think it worked too well. But yeah, I was loving Interstellar beginning to end, but just those last 15 minutes, it's kind of was like, well, that didn't really work too much for me, but the rest of the movie was good. But yeah, that's the only example I can think of where the ending kind of left a kind of sour taste in my mouth. But I still really enjoyed the film. Next question comes from the only newbie, and I'm gonna try to say your name, so please forgive me, I'm really bad with names. But your name is Eric Karas. I'll just call you Eric C, but there's your full name. I'm really sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce this. But you want to know, do I have any theories on how Devil May Cry 5 will end? Yes, the good guys will win, the bad guys will lose, hopefully Virgil will be back to life, and I don't know, maybe we'll get a proper send-off for Dante, because it has been confirmed that, this is something I'm definitely going to do a video about after this. It's been confirmed that this game will take place after Devil May Cry 2, which I'm really happy about. So we're really dealing with Old Man Logan by this, or Old Man Dante. So, because by this point he's definitely in his mid to late 40s, possibly going into his 50s, and I think that would be the perfect time for him to want to retire. I think the idea of him having kids, I think, has been thrown out the window. So yeah, I mean, hopefully they give Dante a send-off. Nero takes over, somehow Virgil comes back to life, although I think if now that it's been well over 20 years, I think maybe we don't need to bring Virgil back, but that's just a quick little rundown of how I think the game's gonna end. Just with Dante, ultimately the one thing I hope to see is Dante retiring. It's like, okay, I'm getting a little old for this, you take it over, and I'm just gonna relax and enjoy it, because he does age like a normal human, because he's half human, half demon. So Dante would inevitably die of old age. So, and the last question of the episode comes from JBat. You want to know, do I think that Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4 will be the greatest Spider-Man video game ever made? That's a bit of a stretch, because I've played some really good Spider-Man games in the past. Does it have from what I've seen, does it have the potential to be the greatest? Sure. Do I think that by the end it will be? Maybe. But I wouldn't hold my breath. I'm just hoping for another great Spider-Man experience. And just from what I've seen, it looks like that's what it's going to be. However, I have heard some negative things about some aspects of the story. That does have me a little bit concerned. But overall, I have no question that it's going to be a great Spider-Man game. Greatest? I gotta get my hands on in order to find out. So, if that's it, that is the end of my episode of People's Questions. I'd like to thank the few of you that actually sent in your questions that could be answered in the video. But if you did have a question that didn't get answered in the video, please do not feel bad, because chances are it's actually one of the questions that ended up being pretty long conversations, and I really like seeing that, because I definitely took part in that myself. But if you guys have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. But make sure you get them into me for next Wednesday, roughly around noon, before I start filming the next episode, before I upload it. And like always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.